Hey everyone, welcome back to another mini-sode of the Ethical Consumer Podcast. Today I have some exciting news coming out of my home state of Iowa. Yes, Iowa. If you don't already know, born and raised here. And I don't feel like we're known as being one of the more progressive states, but in this case, we are. Or at least the capital city is, and I'm hoping more cities follow suit. In a unanimous vote on Monday night, the Des Moines City Council passed a resolution setting a goal to achieve 24/7, 100% of the time, carbon-free electricity by 2035, which makes it the first city in the U.S. to do so, which I think is pretty cool. Usually we're not on the cutting edge of things. So to hear Iowa in the news for something good, I'm pretty excited about that. In addition to carbon-free electricity by 2035, they're also setting a goal to achieve net zero emissions by 2050. Now, 2050 seems like a long time from now, and it is. But when you're dealing with things like this that has an entire city converting what it uses for energy and electricity, that's going to take a minute. It's not just the flip of a switch. And this is actually not the first time Iowa has been a little ahead of the curve as far as renewable energy sources go. Iowa was actually the first state to generate more than 30% of its electricity from wind and solar. I remember when I would be in the car driving down the highway with my parents when I was a little kid. It was really exciting to see new wind turbines popping up. Like, it was a really, really big deal. And if you've ever been passed by a flatbed truck hauling one of the blades of those turbines, these things are huge. Like, look up a picture if you're not from the Midwest and you don't know what I'm talking about. They look big from the highway. But when you're right up next to that blade, I mean, it's insane. You can't even comprehend it unless you've seen it before. I'm going to post a picture here. Make sure you guys know what I'm talking about because it's really pretty impressive. It's also impressive that all of the parts for these wind turbines are also made in the state of Iowa. So there's less shipping, there's less hauling, and everything stays a little closer to home, which I really like. MidAmerican Energy, which is a main energy supplier for the state, they're actually not in my town. We have our own municipal utilities, but pretty much anywhere else in Iowa, you're going to find an option for MidAmerican. They introduced wind energy in Iowa back in 2004, and that company is currently generating over 60% of its energy from the use of wind turbines. So we're about 30% in the state of Iowa, and MidAmerican Energy, the company itself, has about 60% from wind turbines, which is, those are pretty high numbers. They're also predicting to reach 83% by the end of 2021, which is even more exciting. Although I don't think my town's municipal utility provider is using much wind power, there is a really impressive solar array that they have installed in the past few years, and I will be doing a mini-sode on that later. If you remember in a previous episode with Single Speed Brewing Company, they've managed to offset 100% of their operations in their Waterloo tap room with solar panels. And if you remember the episode with Ecolip's founder Steve Shriver, they've been able to offset their carbon footprint by contributing to wind turbines in the Cedar Rapids area. The wind and solar are really great things for cities and businesses to focus on. Transportation still remains the highest contributor to emissions. However, we're working on that too. Iowa nearly tripled the amount of plug-in and hybrid vehicles from 2016 to 2018. So all of these things make a pretty significant dent. And I'm excited to see what happens in Des Moines and in the future of renewable energy in Iowa in general, as we're clearly on the upward climb. Personally, I'm just excited to hear my home state in the news for something good. I feel like Iowa hasn't gotten the best press recently with our caucus difficulties and with the coronavirus response. So I'm really excited to hear a good thing, and I'm excited that Des Moines is leading the way. This, I believe, from what I've read and what I understand, was inspired by Google's goals. So we have from Google to Des Moines, Iowa. Look at us go. We're going to keep going. So I will be checking back in periodically. I'm curious to see how this is going to pan out through the end of the year and through the next couple years. So as soon as I get more information, I will be sharing it with you guys. If you have any contributing information, if you're aware of something going on in your city, your state, something that's exciting along the same lines, let me know. And go ahead and check out our new newsletter. You'll find a link down below. If you're on YouTube, you'll find a link in the show notes if you're on iTunes or some other podcast platform. And of course, we'll put that link in our bio on Instagram. We'll be sending out weekly updates, some of my favorite things, some new tips, new tricks that I've found, and more information and suggestions from some of our wonderful guests. So we're excited to be putting that out for you. Thank you so much, McKenna, for putting that together. Guys, I am not a one-woman show here. My face is the face that you see the most. My voice is the one that you hear, but there's several other people behind this podcast, and they're all super stellar. So I'm very thankful to have them behind me and sometimes pulling me forward when I'm having a rough week. Thanks, guys. Love you all. Thank you, crew. Thank you, listeners. And I will see you next time, guys. Have a good one.